what I wanted. So here I am with young people now, and they get to hear the word of, you're worthy. Yes, you are. They get to hear the words that you're necessary, that you're needed. They get to hear that the universe doesn't know your age. It knows your heart. It knows your consciousness. And as I started working in this way and teaching them these things and talking to them about their words, I'm diligent. Now people, may have difficulty with that sometimes because people don't like it when you're diligent. Sometimes people, get offended. But I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to remind you of what you already know. You already know this stuff. It's just a reminder. Should I really be looking at myself and saying I'm not enough? Oh, I'm too fat. I remember, these things that we say, oh, I'm too short, or I'm too tall. Think of it. At work, I'm not adequate, I'm not enough. We think of all these things. One day, a couple of weeks ago, I went to one of the girls and I was like, look, I was in a room full of women. I go, look, I got a role right here. And I just love that role. I love it. I'm alive. I get to feel myself and know who I am with my work. And it's a pretty good role here. There was a time in my life I would have never said that. But I just recognize how we've got to love ourselves up. There's nothing arrogant about loving ourselves and honoring ourselves and speaking well of ourselves. How dare I speak against myself when I'm created in the image and likeness of God? If I am putting myself down, then I'm putting my God down. That's the bottom line. I'm saying my God doesn't know enough to create me with everything I need. Really? The cosmos? And doesn't know what to do with little old me? Really? And so we get to now look at what we're creating in our life with our spoken word. How am I speaking of myself? How am I speaking of others? Am I caught up in gossip? Am I caught up? These are so basic, but how many of us forget? Like, I'm not talking about, building a ship to go to space and live on Mars, which I feel, let's take care of Earth first, but that's another story. I'm talking about basic conscious living. How am I honoring my sisters and my brothers? How am I living on a daily basis? And so, in the beginning was the Word. We're creating by our words. God is. There's a power in the spoken word. The universe doesn't know. The universe doesn't know you're joking. I learned that years ago, and I came back to it. But I took it to another level. I look at how many comedians have committed suicide or have overdosed. And I go, but wait a minute, these people were like the jesters. They're the ones that made us laugh. But somewhere within them, they were sad. They weren't happy, And they spend a lot of time entertaining in the world, but they weren't loving in themselves. I look at things like that, I look at what's going on in the world, and I ask myself, well, where am I? Am I really standing in who I am? Am I loving myself before I come to you? Because if I don't love myself and I come to you, I'm a hypocrite. I'm just depicting something that isn't reality. It isn't truth. And so the universe doesn't know you're joking is something I learned in my 20s when people were like, they would just make these remarks about themselves and just, ha ha ha, just joking. And I'm like, the universe doesn't know you're joking. If this is a yes universe, if God is yes to us, then whatever, remember, we have choice. So whatever we say, there's a yes that comes back. I'm not good enough. Okay, I'll show you what not good enough looks like. I'm not worthy. Okay, well, you think you're not worthy, then you'll have not worthy. I'm not capable of a healthy relationship. Well, then you will draw to you unhealthy people. But when we change our consciousness and understand that we're worth it, we're worthy, we're enough, we are here to advance, to grow into our greater yet to be, when we do that, that opens us up for greater good. Now, I know it's not just words. We can affirmation ourselves to death, right? But I do know that the feeling behind the words, it's the feeling tone, what we feel when we say it. And sometimes you gotta say it till you make it. So I finally got to the point where I kind of made it. I said, okay, you don't like my hair being nappy, then I'll just grow some locks. Long as my hair has ever grown, Because I spent my life trying to make it bone straight, breaking off. Like, I mean, seriously, it was like, I spent at least 20 years of my life going to a hair salon once a week to get my hair straightened. Spent over $2,000 a year because I wouldn't embrace what I was. Crazy, right? And men, just catch on, it's a little, I'll tell you a little bit more, so you'll get it. I used to line my lips inside my lips to make my lips look smaller. Hello, people are getting injections to get this lip, okay? I know I'm trying to make my lips smaller. What? But it was someone else's idea of me that I caught and that I was living in. So I said, okay, my lips, then I'm gonna gloss my lips, make them look a little bigger. Like I became rebellious against it. I was like, oh, my nose is too big, let me just pierce it. Hello. I got to the other side of it when I understood, you know what? I'm created in the image and likeness of God. 7.5 billion of us created in the image and likeness of God. This is a vast God here. And not one fingerprint the same. And we're all one in this one. This is why I could stand before you. There was no blame in this. I didn't blame anyone. I took my own responsibility in it all. What spoken word am I going to speak to myself today? How am I going to stand today? And then I see Sheila Nichols, this little white girl with locks, and I'm like, yes! Yes, yes, yes! This is amazing! Absolutely! Embracing one another, loving one another, holding one another, speaking the word for one another. My brother's having a bad day, I get to hold him and say, you're okay. You're okay. There's a power that is with us that will never leave us nor forsake us. And my mother used to say this. My mother just passed away a few years ago, but she used to say, I pray for my children. May goodness and mercy follow you all the days of your life. She was speaking the word for us. So I ask you this week, what word are you going to speak? How are you going to stand? Are we going to listen to the world? Because the world will tell you all kinds of things. Are we going to listen to the world and let the world depict to us who we are, or are we going to stand and tell the world who we are? Who are you? And you start by the words that we speak. And you start by the very thing you don't like. This is very interesting. When I was a makeup artist for 27 years of my life. And that's an interesting industry. I've seen people last one day, literally, in cosmetics. I saw her come in the morning, and I never saw her again. Like, that's how that industry can be. It can be brutal. I remember I was working at Saks Fifth Avenue in Beechwood, Ohio. I'm telling you. Anyway, some things you just don't forget. But I remember, you know, working in that industry was no joke. It was like, my work was to tell women how amazing they were and how beautiful they were. I got to do that all day long. Never did I look for something wrong. I looked for bringing out the best of what you had. That was like 27 years of that. It's like, great. I love it. We get to look at ourselves and enhance what we already have. What are you? What's good about you? You're a great speaker. You're a great musician. You're a great singer. You're a great mathematician. You're a great writer. Where does that come from? Sourced by God. Sourced by God. If it's sourced by God, then what else do I have that's sourced by God? Even to go fundamentally, basically, to the core of the fact that I'm alive means that I'm worthy. The fact that I came into this existence means that I'm necessary because there's no mistakes in God. And we just get to work our words around to build ourselves up and so that we can stand in who we are. And so even with political things, I will just say nothing. For a whole year, I said nothing. And people would come to me with things and I would say nothing. Because I know there's something so profound and so beautiful that there always is a greater good on the other side. Now, when I was younger, I couldn't say those words. But now I feel those words, as Reverend Michael says, to my bones. And so this week, I want to ask yourself the question. Number one, this is a question I ask all of you. When was the last time you said hello to a teenager? So, I'm going to tell you now, all of you are going to meet a teenager this week, and you get to say something kind to that teenager, even if they're acting whack in the moment. You can say, I know there's a greater good in you. Something. I know you're worthy of a good life. Something. But this week, I want us to look at our spoken word. Just, what are you saying? All of us have chatter in our heads. On my way out here, Annalisa was with me. Annalisa drove, so I didn't have to drive 45 miles. Thank you, Annalisa. And Annalisa was the driver, and I don't write my sermons. I do what we call mind maps, so I mind map it. And yesterday, I had a closing celebration for Ramadan. I fast during Ramadan, and I fast during Lent, because we're all one. I live this thing. I'm not just talking about it. So we closed. We had a silent retreat in the morning. And then I had a wedding last night to officiate. 5.5 years clean and sober, this young woman. And she went through my treatment center. Then today. So I've had an active weekend. And on my way out here, I was like, okay, let's mind map what this wants to be. And it is the moments that we become still. This is what I know. I meditate 45 minutes every morning. What I know is when we take the time in the stillness, and whether it's 7 minutes, 15 minutes, but to do that on a daily basis, something happens. We're like more open. Over time, we can't even say anything negative about ourselves. And even if we do, it just comes out different. You end up switching it up. You end up saying, well, I really meant this. Something changes. Daily prayer. Since this Ramadan season, because we've been praying for our Muslim brothers and sisters, because many of them are being persecuted right now. And the prayer was for them to have peace and that they're protected. A young girl was attacked a week ago because she's Muslim, and just holding them in prayer. I don't have to be Muslim to hold someone in prayer, and I don't have to be Muslim to fast during that season. Like, when we all let go of the boundaries of them, that's a word, they, us, and we start talking about the oneness, that just shifts everything. If we say we believe in a power greater than ourselves, and we were created in its image and likeness, that means we're all one in the one. That's the bottom line. And so we get to live from that. And so this week, let us extend our hands to one another. Let us speak these words to one another. And if you're having difficulty with self, you know what? Speak some kind words anyway. What harm will it do? Say something good. And there's a difference between arrogance and honoring God in you. Because we don't have to go out to the world and go, I'm wonderful. But we can get to the world and say, there's wonderful things happening through me. There's a greater good that wants to be revealed as me. There's a magnificence that wants to show up as my life, not in my life. God's not out there and it's going to come in and fix things. We're here to reveal the good of our higher power, to reveal the good of spirit. And so what's your words going to be this week? How are you going to walk? How are you going to talk? Some of you are already doing this, but how are you going to expand it? That's the question I'm asking. And so there's a mandate. That term always cracks me up, mandate. Who came up with that? I don't know. But a woman came up with it. There's a mandate for you this week. And the mandate is for us to stand in our word and to only speak words that are of high vibration and high consciousness. To lift ourselves up and to lift others up with our spoken word. To extend ourselves to one another. Again, many of you doing this already. Bring it to another level. Because we can always grow to another level. Do I want to meditate for 45 minutes every morning? No, I don't. I could definitely sleep in. I get up at 5 o'clock. But I do it because it's an inner calling. It's an inner call. It didn't start off that way. 7 minutes years ago, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. I grew into it. But as we open ourselves up, we grow into more good, more love, more compassion, more understanding. We grow into our greater selves. And so I want to thank you all for being willing to listen to my stories. And I just want to say that this feels good. You feel good. You feel right. And I know there's so much good that's waiting to expand through and as you, as your own life and as your own being. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was good. You were there in the beginning. The Word was you. Namaste. The cute ushers. Hello, lovely ones. Look at that. Hi. Come closer. Yeah. Thank you. And so we just take this moment right now just to turn within as we prepare our offerings today, just knowing that there's a givingness in the universe. You can't outgive God. And so in this moment, as we prepare our gifts and our love offerings, I'm going to ask you all to take your offerings in your hand, whether you're writing a check or whether it's cash. Holding it in your hand and knowing that what you give today helps support keeping the lights on, having this location. It helps support us being here. And we're going to do a special blessing. And so I'm going to ask you to repeat after me. Well, first of all, before that, I want to say that on every check I write Jehovah Jireh. And Jehovah Jireh means I'm grateful I can give this gift that has been provided for by God. And so as we hold our offerings in our hand, repeat these words. Jehovah Jireh,
Jehovah Jireh,
I am grateful, that I can give, and I know, as I give, it serves humanity. I give this gift, and it's transformed, a thousandfold. As I give, I receive. And so it is. Amen. Go forth and multiply the consciousness. Thank you.